Hi, everybody. Hi, I'm Chris Brady, the artistic director of Starlight, and I have with me the awesome and talented Seth RUDETSKY and Paul CASTREE right here on the screen.
I don't hear any applause.
Say hi. I know, right?
Rude.
That's what I tried to find an overlay that had applause on it. That's what I've been trying to do. I'm bad at it though. First of all, thanks to Andrea Bear for setting this stuff up for us. I think that's awesome. You know her?
Yeah, I went to high school with her. Back in the day.
That's
Well,
so cool. Oh, there's
thank you, Josh. I appreciate it. Hey, James, I'm going to do this down here. Sorry, I'm going to walk down to near because we have to do our live stream right after this. So I want to be near our computer.
You do you, man.
Paul's a Rockford native, and he was in the original off Broadway and Broadway company of Disaster. But he cut his teeth in Rockford.
Oh, I know. He's a local celeb. James is here.
That's my nephew.
Paul, you did Starlight, right?
I'm sorry. What was that?
No, I'm sorry. You did Starlight, correct?
The deafness is amazing. He's asking.
I hear like the first two words. You're asking me that I did what?
Starlight.
Oh yeah, of course. Yes, I did. I think I did 1, 2, 3, 5 shows there. My first show was West Side Story, with Jody, who I think you had on, Jody Benson.
Yeah, we had Jody Benson on Sunday, Saturday.
I was Baby John in that, and then the last one I did there was Grease, and I played Duty. Yeah,
Duty.
Both with Joe Mantello, who is friends with Seth as well.
That's right.
Yeah,
Joe was Chino in West Side Story, and he was Sonny when we did Grease. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked with Jody about the Boylan Mafia. You all of you together. Sharon Sachs was watching too, so she was like, hey.
Yeah, there was a group of us that somehow all ended up in New York around the same time.
That's impressive, actually. So everybody who's watching, if you didn't know, so Seth wrote Disaster, co-wrote Disaster, if I'm correct, yeah. And Paul CASTREE was in the original Broadway cast, but also in the off Broadways, those kind of stuff, everything leading up to it as well. And both of them were in it as well. So we have, they have graciously said that they would come on, do a Q&A. We're not going to waste their time. So if you have questions in the comments, please question away. This happened all kind of a sudden. So normally I do all this research, but shoot, I was eating dinner. So
I'll show you my disaster accoutrement while I'm here. I have the New York Times ad on my wall. There it is.
Ooh.
Always hanging. And I think I have something else down here. Where the hell is it? Well, I used to have something else. Where's the box? Where's the black box? Oh, there it is. My Sky High. Some fan made me this. It's like a shadow box, I think it's called. But it's like a shadow box where it's like the record is Sky High, and then it has like a mini playbill. So anyway, I'm very Norma Desmond. I just live amongst. I've worn this T-shirt for the last 4 years. I just never take it off.
Hey, why Disaster? What was the impetus there? Why did you go, hey, I'm going to make a 70s movie?
It was the 90s when I first started writing it, the early 90s. And I've always been obsessed with disasters. I used to have all those books about disaster. I had a book about earthquakes, book about hurricanes, book about, pardon me, hold on a second. Sorry, it's because we're testing sound. Hold on. There it is. Okay. Hey, so I had all these disaster books. And also the 70s was like the crux of all the disaster movies. So I grew up just obsessed with Earthquake and Poseidon Adventure and Towering Inferno. And I also used to think it was really funny. Like there was a record in the 70s where like questions were answered with songs my brother and I did a takeoff of it where all I remember was like one joke. It was like, something like, what do you think of Madeline, no, it wasn't Madeline Albright. It's maybe like, what do you think of Gold of My Year? And it's like, she's an evil woman. It was like, whatever. And I thought it was so funny when you would answer a question with the song. And when I started writing, it was before really jukebox musicals. So I just thought, wouldn't it be funny to take a disaster movie and make the plot all about the 70s, since like it takes place in the 70s. I mean, to make the songs from the 70s, since it takes place in the 70s. So I thought of the idea in the 90s with my friend Drew Geraci, and we used to say it should be about the blackout of the 70s, because that was like the big disaster in 1977. And then I was like, how are we going to make a musical where like the entire stage is dark the whole time? So I suddenly thought, what if it's every single disaster from like every single movie that was in the 70s? It's like, you know, we could have piranhas and a shark and a tidal wave and just like literally make it like the ultimate disaster movie. And I got this list of like every single song from the 70s, and I began listening to it. That's headphones at the gym, and I would hear a song and be like, oh my God, I love that song. I've got to figure out a plot point to make that song work. And it's sort of, it all went from there. Love Seth.
Oh, on Wednesday. Uh-oh. Yeah. We talked to Maggie McDowell on Wednesday.
I love Maggie.
Yeah. You guys, I'll tell you that much. And she was talking all about how she was saying how the lyrics have not been changed whatsoever in the songs in the show. They're just made to fit the plot. She was talking about that.
Yeah, it drove me. I did a lot of, not a lot, but I played in the orchestra for jukebox musicals on Broadway. And what I would feel being in the orchestra is that sort of like the first few sentences of the song would make sense. And there'd be like 3 sentences we'd be like, just don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. And then we go back to making sense. And it drove me crazy. So I really wanted to make sure that like every lyric, like completely and beyond made sense. And Jack and I really hopefully structured it where I think it did.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. So you both have obviously extensive history with this show. What can you give us some highlights? What are some of those things that you remember about this show? Paul, you were in, obviously, you've been in since at least production inception, and Seth, obviously, the brainchild. So, what makes this show special? What were some of the highlights?
Paul got to see it both ways because he began as a swing on Broadway, so he would sit in the audience and watch. I feel Paul has a very unique perspective on it.
Oh, I see. Well, yeah, I mean, the thing, I had so many different sort of involvements with the show. The first time I did it was off Broadway, and I played Scott, and got to sing "Ooh, You Make Me Live," which is hilarious. And then when we did off Broadway, that's when I played Tony, who was the bad guy, which was really fun because that was really fun because Seth and I had we basically at each other's throats, which was really fun because we're such good friends and we've known each other for so long that we could just pitch. We would literally pitch I would pitch an idea to him right before we would go on, and he'd say, "Yeah, try it." And sometimes it would really work, sometimes it didn't, but some of the stuff. At least one moment I know that we tried skating the show for Broadway. It was really funny. When Roger Bart played it, who was another friend of ours. And then when I first was in the show, I was the swing, and I had to cover almost every single principal part, except for maybe 1 or 2. And then, as luck would have, someone got another job, and I got to go into the show every night, which was a lot of fun too. I sort of got to do everything in that show, which was really fun. I got to do it on Broadway, and I got to record the cabin, which was really nice. Our friend Mono, wasn't he up in Canada or something? Seth?
He was doing Amelie
show, and he was so nice. He said, "You know what? Let Paul do it," which was really he's a great guy, and he's got a lot going on. I think he was just in To Kill a Mockingbird, right?
Yeah.
On Broadway?
Yeah, so he originated 3 Times a Lady. And then
Anyway, so I got to do the moment of with Adam Pascal, which was hilarious every night. I can't describe what it is because eventually I know you're going to do it, and I don't want to give it away. But
yeah, Paul added a really, truly...
Same of that song?
3 Times a Lady. He
3
had
Times a Lady.
A crazy line reading to it that was not in the show before Paul took over that we were obsessed with. I mean, I guess for me, there's so many highlights. I don't know. I mean, it was always just fun to write a line and then like, oh, my dog wants to go out. To write a line and then hear that, you know, the audience liked it. I mean, actually, I mean, to me, like the biggest highlight to me, one of the biggest highlights is when we had to change things and the replacement. By the way, I've never heard more dishes being washed or put away in the background. I don't know who's doing it, but my head is literally, it's like silverware. Shut up. Anyway, we had this moment where we had that song la 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 do 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 ah. We used to do this. We used to do this bit where Jackie was climbing up this ladder. No, Jackie's son is missing. So someone says, I'll go climb up the ladder and I'll go look for him. And he would climb up the ladder and he was like, la, 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 la. And when he got to the top, the ladder would break. And as he would fall, it was like, ah. Anyway, so it always got this crazy, crazy big laugh off Broadway. It was like one of our biggest laughs in the show. And then we didn't get the rights for it for Broadway. So we lost the rights. So it's one of those things where my typical reaction is like devastation and like, I'll never get a big laugh again. Like I was definitely traumatized by it, but it actually paid off because we wound up writing this moment in the show where there's like a guy hanging from a table. The ship turns upside down, hanging from a table. And basically we say, jump on 3. And we're getting a big blanket for him to jump on. And Maggie McDowell would say, wait, is it on 3 or after 3? And Roger Broad would go, you idiot. It's always 1, 2, 3, jump. And he would literally fall before the blanket was underneath him and die. And it got such a crazy, like we had to stop the show laugh that we never would have gotten if we had gotten the rights to that other song. It definitely got a much bigger laugh. So it's just always very satisfying to me. Whenever I think something is devastating, something better can actually come along. So that to me is like, because as a writer, I'm always like so upset if something has to be cut. And it was so nice that something actually worked better because that was cut.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts of the show. It's hilarious.
That got the biggest, because I got to be in the audience watching it happen, and I got to be on stage. It got the hugest laugh. One thing I will say is that I've been in a lot of Broadway shows, and this show, the laughs from the audience, I had never heard that loud, that consistently throughout the entire show, ever. And not every show I did was a comedy, but almost all of them were. And they weren't in this style, but I'm just saying that it was really, it sounded like a fake sitcom. What do they call it when they do the fake laughs?
Like a laugh track.
Laugh track.
Yeah.
I mean, I know, Seth, you can't say that, but it really, the laughs from the audience every single night were unbelievable. And I had so many friends that came that, you know, had seen a lot of Broadway shows, and I really respected their opinion. My friend Tim Schultes, he said, Paul, this is the funniest show I've ever seen on Broadway.
Wow.
Consistently from beginning to end.
Thank you, Polly. I didn't know he said that. That's so nice. By the way, someone just wrote.
Well, it's true. You were there. You heard it.
I know, but you know, whatever. I can't say it. By the way, someone just wrote, what do you look for when you want to work with an actor? And I'll just say, I always look for an actor who will surprise me with a choice. Meaning, like, a lot of times, like, my husband and I will watch comedy. He does more than I do, but he'll just sort of nod. And I'll know he's nodding because he's like, I expected that. And he's not even judging it, but it's like, I expect that. So I always love when it's something unexpected. And that's why one of the reasons why I first loved Paul, because when we both did Grease together on Broadway, and Eugene has this line where he's supposed to be like showing off, where he's like, he's being busted by all the mean kids in the park. And he's supposed to say to Sandy, like, I'm going to go wait in the car with my dad. It's a sort of loser line. But instead, Paul read it like his dad is threatening. He'd be like, I'm going to go wait in the car with my dad. And it was so hilarious and such an amazing twist. So I always look for someone that to me is like brilliant, to take a line that's written and then to find a new twist on it. Paul's amazing at that. Rachel York was amazing at that. Paul and I were obsessed with all the different moments that she added as Jackie. And my God, Jennifer Samard. Jennifer Samard is a nun. Like, her line is just, she's supposed to be covering up that she's a gambling addict. And she's supposed to just say, like, I've never loved gambling and I've always loved Jesus. That was just the line. It's supposed to be a cover up. But instead she would go, I've never loved gambling and I've always loved Jesus. And it was so weird. I was like, what is that pronunciation? Because, well, I decided she's such a bad nun that she doesn't even know how to pronounce Jesus' name. So it was such a hilarious. She's awesome. Like, how do you not know how to pronounce that? So anyway, that's what I was looking for. Someone that could surprise me with comedy.
I hear you also like the option up.
Yeah.
Oh, singing wise. Oh, of course. If you got the high notes. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how Disaster is being done around the country because everyone in that show has a freak voice. I mean, like literally, Carrie, Rachel, Jennifer, every key is so crazy. We actually have optional keys. Anna Pascal, we have optional keys for Anna Pascal's song and for the Nun. If they're too high for a normal person.
We have a teaser that we're showing right after this, so stick around. You'll see our cast. They're phenomenal.
Jennifer
and
Samard.
Yes, Samard. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's amazing.
We were talking about her extensively with Maggie for sure.
Yeah, Maggie got to play her role when we did it around a year later. Maggie got to play the nun. Maggie also played Marianne on Broadway. She was amazing. Paul got to play my part on Broadway. I had to miss a performance. It was devastating to me, but Paul actually got to go on and do the whole balance beam Nadia Comaneci.
Yeah.
Yeah, Seth's part it's
hard.
Seth's part is tricky though, actually. I found it trickier than Tony or Scott. Yeah.
A lot of information.
Maybe just because I hadn't done as much, but I think your part is a little tricky because a lot of his funny moments are the lack of emotion, and but you can't actually not show anything because you have to there has to be an intensity behind it. So there's a fine line that you have to play there, and I think you're the only one that ever did it, except for me that one time, right? So I mean. You figured it out. Obviously.
You got the laugh.
But the other great thing about the show, I'm sure. What'd you say?
No, I was going to say you got the laughs because I was in Florida, I had to do a concert that night, and James was in the audience, and James literally held up the phone, and I was eavesdropping in Florida while you were on. So you actually got the laughs. So I applaud you. I still remember it.
Nice.
The other great thing about the show that we loved is that we used to say it was in the 70s. You could turn the radio dial to like any station, and one of our songs from the show would have been playing because it was also the last time in pop music, the top 100 was every. You could have a country song. We had a country song, right? There's a country song, disco, hard rock. Everything. That was sort of the last era where all those songs could be number one or a top 10 hit, and. It was just really fun. Well, because we're of the same age. Seth, he's much younger than I am, but we remember all those
the songs. I mean, that music. Yeah, that music is just amazing. And oh God, I would love to write Disaster too, just to have like all the songs I couldn't get into the show that I really love, but I never got to.
Well, okay.
I don't have 5 years to write another show. Nice try. It's not happening. But I'm just saying it was.
It wasn't my idea, man.
All right. True that. Love both your work. Question for you all. What would you suggest for actors through this pandemic as we self-tape auditions? Who the hell is having auditions? There's no theater going on. My advice is don't do a show until COVID goes away. Don't audition for anything. Cut. That's my advice. Paul? Oh. My God.
What was the question?
It was like, what's your advice for self-taping during the quarantine? I was like, not doing a show. Paul, your Wi-Fi is amazing, by the way.
I'm sorry,
yeah, pretty good.
I know it's terrible.
Was it better to work on Legally Blonde, The Search for Elle Woods, or Legally Brown, The Search for the Next Piwago Guy? It was much more fun to work on Legally Brown because that was totally improv, and they let me literally just say whatever I want. So Legally Brown. Well, first of all, Legally Blonde took like 5 weeks. Legally Brown took an afternoon, but it was totally improv. So I really enjoyed that. Whereas Legally Blonde, they wouldn't always make me have to say things, but I would still have to guide the conversation in a certain way. Poor Dennis Jones. I remember he was forced to be like, we were laughing so hard. Dennis, the choreographer, was like, girls, you're dancing for your lives. And both of us were like, they are? It literally made no sense. Anyway, yeah, that was Legally Blonde cut. Anywho.
Hey, I've got to say, one of the reasons why we're doing Disaster this season in the first place is you have, Seth, and I found it on YouTube, so I don't know where it originates, but you have this basically, you're going to say, you tell us why disaster would be good for our theater, and you like a 3-minute promo or something like that.
Yeah.
And you just go to town on all the funny bits, why it's awesome and why doing stuff simply works. Now, before we left for the pandemic, we had to design the set, and we were like, we might have like a week to build it or something like that. So we decided to go really simple, and quite honestly, that stuff's effective. What's your favorite simple bit that you guys came up with?
Oh, well, I mean, I could just say for myself, my favorite, which I did not come up with, but Jack did, and I guess spoiler alert, but whatever. Basically, is we have a one boy playing boy and girl twins in the show, so he goes back and forth playing Ben and Lisa, and at certain points he's just represented by like just a stuffed doll, like, but you just play it like it's real, and we play it like it's real. So when we were off Broadway, we couldn't figure out how we were going to come out the top of the ship, and we do this thing at the end where everyone's crowding around each other, and his name is Jonah. He was so good. He was able to sneak away from everybody so no one saw him, and sneak all the way backstage and come to the front of the audience. And we'd be holding the doll to put him up on the top of the ship, and we'd go 1, 2, and right when his head's supposed to pop out, the lights would black out, and there'd be a spotlight all the way across the other side of the stage, and you'd see him coming up from the floor, and the audience would flip out. I mean, all it really was that he just ran around, but it's so shocking, and it was so satisfying. I mean, the audience would, and I guess we could have built a whole 2-floored set, but then there wouldn't have been any theater magic. It was just amazing because the audience would flip out. That was my favorite moment. Paul, what about you? Well, freeze frame on your Wi-Fi. You look crazy, but besides that,
I'm just listening and going because I'm so delayed that.
Poor Paulie. You can go on maybe your iPhone will work. You can try it on your iPhone. Maybe it works better. I'm just saying.
You don't have to
get to that. Yeah, I bet it will work better.
Anyway, that was my favorite sort of homespun theater magic moment.
Yeah, we thought through that moment as well, just because we thought the exact same type. We're not building a 2-story set, so we decided to bring the walls down and fall on top of everybody. But we made this little it'll give it away too, but kind of indent in the set, and then people can pop up through.
That's great.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be cool. Listen, guys, we certainly don't want to waste your time or anything like that. So I'm just going to choose one more, if that's okay with you guys. Yeah, because I love this.
The scary fun part of last year is when something unexpected happens to break. What is your memorable? Oh, good. Now he's on. Excellent. Yay, Paul.
Hey, now I can
move. My favorite, I have 2 favorite moments I could say, and then Paul, you have one too. So basically, one of them was, I remember Rachel York was supposed to say, we haven't had a tremor in a while. Do you think, the earthquake's not coming? And I don't know why, but I saw her eyes go dead and she could not remember the word tremor. So she was like, we haven't had a thingy in a while. And we just became obsessed with it because the end of the show ends at Act 1, ends with a screaming earthquake, and we all wanted to go like, thingy! Anyway, so that was one of my favorite moments. We haven't had a thingy. Another one was Adam Pascal was supposed to come out at the beginning of Feelings, and basically like we all have one line in a row, and we didn't see Adam, but we suddenly heard him say, "Oh wait, sorry, children," but we heard him go like, "Shit," because he thought Scott to come on and his music was on. So he completely missed the beginning of Feelings. So I saw Paul after the show, and I said, "Oh, I feel so bad. Adam didn't know his mic was on." And Paul said, "Did he know the show was on?" What was your favorite? Any mistakes you remember?
Mistakes that happened with me, no. But I loved. Speaking of Adam, he's really fun to try to make laugh. Because he just has a great laugh. Right, Seth? And I had the one scene with him where we're both carrying some dead bodies of our loved ones. And there was what was the last line of that, Seth?
When you would say you forgot a part of the body.
Oh, you forgot a part of the body, and the line is just, I'm saving it. And the first time I went on when I took over that role, I don't know why I did. I just said it was, I can't scream it right now in my apartment, but I said it was such crazy, like, I'm saving it. shocked him so badly. His face got so big and he started to laugh. And then I was like, oh, okay. And then one time I think I did it as Gollum, didn't I? Like my precious. I was like, I'm saving. Anyway, whatever.
It was always so weird.
It was always something. And always trying to figure out how to get one more laugh with those body parts, which was fun to do.
God.
Yeah, there were just so many. There were a lot of the fun moments, and Seth can attest to this. The cast would hang out and we would watch our favorite moments that other actors did. Rachel York had a couple of really funny ones that we would all sit
Her
backstage.
entrance before I Will Survive, where her leg was turned in.
She just turned her leg in and dragged one ankle, and she's so beautiful, but she's like Lucille Ball, so beautiful and not afraid to look absolutely crazy
Horrific.
and hideous for a good laugh. Can't say enough about Rachel. Actually, the whole cast, they were so fun to work with.
And we'd all watch Never Can Say Goodbye. We'd all be in the wings and watch Jennifer sing that.
I mean, of course,
Jennifer
was so exciting to watch her every night do that. And it was really fun when the show first started to be sitting in the audience watching it, because people just were not ready for what was about to hit them. But once they figured out the convention of the show, which is that none of the songs have lyrics that are changed, they would almost you could see them almost waiting to hear, like, how are they going to fit? They'd recognize a song. They'd recognize, 25 to 64 from Chicago. And you could almost feel them. They're like, how are they possibly going to fit in 25 or 64? Which, of course, we did.
That was my question, actually, at the very beginning. I was like, how does that one work? But whatever. It worked.
That actually probably got our biggest. Of course, my live stream is beginning right now. Paul, you stay on. Everyone else, I'm dropping you. Guys,
hey, so much gotta go.
Show. Wrap it up. Guys, thank you for supporting the show. Bye, Paulie.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Paul.
It's just so nice. So nice that I could hear you. I'm sorry if I was not paying attention. I was paying attention. I just couldn't hear anything before.
Oh, that's totally cool. Hey, real quick, since you're staying on and quite honestly, we're gonna go and we're gonna do our teaser right after this.
Great.
I got one more question for you then, because this was Missy Middleton's question.
Okay.
And I'm looking for it to post, but I can't find it. She asked, "What was your favorite Rockford Starlight memory? Like, if you could think of memories that you loved."
Well, I have such a history with it because my two older brothers also did shows there. So and my cousins. So I was going to see shows at Starlight when I was 6, 7, 8, 9. So, and just in general, the smell of just being outdoors, and the first time I was in the rehearsal, that like barn area, whatever that was, I would say probably just because it was my first show, probably doing West Side Story because it was my first show there. It's such an amazing show, obviously. And it really was like a fantasy to be doing a show on a set that was life-size, where we could run up and down the fire escapes and go in and out of the windows of the buildings. And a lot of that show takes place at night, most of it except for the prologue, right? Yeah, it all takes place at night. So you almost felt like, you could really imagine you were on the streets of New York, not knowing I'd be there someday. But yeah, I think probably, and mostly, well, it's a great show. And there were several of my friends from Boylan in it. And I made a lot of new friends too. But yeah, probably doing West Side Story, that first show. Awesome. Loved working there. Like I said, it was, I think 4 summers. I take that back. It was actually 1, 2, 3, 6 shows over 4 summers. So I did. It was a lot of my life, and it's a really special place. So, yeah.
Well,
that's my answer.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Of course.
Really appreciate it, and especially everybody. This dude's on Broadway all the time. And he's a Rockford native. We should celebrate this guy all the time. So thank you, Paul, for coming on. We really appreciate it. If you stick around, you're going to be able to see our teaser for Disaster. We're putting up a bunch of stuff like that. But understand if you don't, too.
No, I will.
Everybody else here.
Great to be here. Great to be
Paul,
here. Thank you.
Okay. Everybody else, let's say goodbye to Paul. Give him some love in the comments.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Paul.
Sure. My pleasure.
and everybody else. We're going to go ahead and see you. We're going to start our stream right now of our teaser. So this is signing off this one. Go join our other live. See you guys.